I asked Tracy, she said it's as up as high as it'll go.
Yeah. Well, our apartment is like, it says it's 75. It's not. It lies.
All right, ding, ding, ding. I don't see a bell, or I would ding, ding a bell.
There's going to be a bell. Oh.
There is a bell.
Here, use the big
There
school
it
bell.
is. If there was lights under here. Good morning, everyone, and Merry Christmas. Feels very Christmassy here in Orlando because of the cold, and go down to Miami and what are those things that fall out of the trees? Iguanas, frozen iguanas, yeah. Oh boy, yes, that means it's Christmas. Before we get going here, do we have any committees that want to report?
Okay. My first announcement is be patient with us for tech today, as we do have our pinch hitter, Richard Jones, back there on AV. This is his first time, so it will. I pulled the minister's spouse card yesterday. Two announcements from me. One, if you are interested in participating in my Doctorate of Ministry project, which will begin in February and run for 6 weeks, there are packets outside of the office for the informed consent section. Read over that and return the signed forms in the envelope that's sitting in front of it by February 1st. So you have a month to kind of figure out if that's what you want to do. I'd love to have you. It'll be a 6-week program running on Sunday afternoons from 1:30 to 3:30. I will be collecting data. You will be anonymous in my final paper, but I would love to have you all participate. And participation is limited to 20 people. So first come, first serve on that. So, yes, Margaret. Oh, yes, it is. The class is called What Does It Mean to Be a Practicing Unitarian Universalist? So it is a 6-week in-depth class about our history, our theology, spiritual practices, principles and sources, covenant, congregational polity, the whole 9 yards. When you leave that project, you will know what it means to be a practicing UU. And so it is open to members and friends. If you are interested in UU, not really know a lot about it, you can participate. If you have been a UU for your entire life, you can participate. You might learn something new. We'll see. And it helps me with data collection. So that will run every Sunday from February 6th through, I think, March 12th. My second hat is hospitality, because I'm hospitality today as well. We will be having cookies and cocoa and coffee after service, so please stay after for that. And I think that's it. So, yeah.
I am now. Thank you. So from the Committee on Shared Ministry, I know you haven't heard from us in a while. You may have forgotten who we are. Barry London, Paula Despang, Carrie Mitchell, John Irie, and I are on the committee. And some of our duties are providing feedback from the congregation to the minister, assessment of the congregation's mission, how the programs of the congregation align or do not align with the mission, and facilitating conflict engagement and resolution between members of the congregation, between the minister and congregational members, or between other congregational staff and congregation members. Bottom line, if you've got an issue you want brought up, you see a problem, bring it to any of us on the Committee on Shared Ministry, and we will work with you on resolving these conflicts and keeping us a happy, smooth, well-oiled machine. So, opening words today. I've got a poem by Alan Alexander Milne, the creator of Winnie the Pooh. And before I read it, I just want to talk about crackers, because we all know what crackers are, those delectable, crunchy things you put cheese on. And but in England, where A.A. Milne is from, a cracker is this, and you probably already know this, but I've never actually opened one, but I hear that you pull both ends, it cracks, and then you get a silly paper hat to wear. The English and their exotic ways, go figure. So, King John's Christmas. King John was not a good man. He had his little ways, and sometimes no one spoke to him for days and days and days. And men who came across him when walking in the town gave him a supercilious stare, or passed with noses in the air. And bad King John stood dumbly there, blushing beneath his crown. King John was not a good man, and no good friends had he. He stayed in every afternoon, but no one came to tea. And round about December, the cards upon his shelf, which wished him lots of Christmas cheer and fortune in the coming year, were never from his near and dear, but only from himself. King John was not a good man. He had his hopes and fears. They'd given him no present now for years and years and years. But every year at Christmas, while minstrels stood about, collecting tribute from the young for all the songs they might have sung, he stole away upstairs and hung a hopeful stocking out. King John was not a good man. He lived his life aloof. Alone he thought a message out while climbing up a roof. He wrote it down and propped it against the chimney stack. To all and sundry, near and far, Father Christmas in particular, and signed it not Johannes R., but very humbly Jack. I want some crackers and I want some candy. I think a box of chocolates would come in handy. I don't mind oranges. I do like nuts, and I should like a pocket knife that really cuts. And oh, Father Christmas, if you love me at all, bring me a big red India rubber ball. King John was not a good man. He wrote this message out and gat him to his room again, descending by the spout, and all that night he lay there, a prey to hopes and fears. I think that's him a-comin' now. Anxiety bedewed his brow. He'll bring one present anyhow, the first I had for years. Forget about the crackers, and forget the candy. I'm sure a box of chocolates would never come in handy. I don't like oranges, I don't want nuts, and I have got a pocket knife that almost cuts. But oh, Father Christmas, if you love me at all, bring me a big red India rubber ball. King John was not a good man. Next morning when the sun rose up to tell a waiting world that Christmas had begun, and people seized their stockings and opened them with glee, and crackers, toys, and games appeared, and lips with sticky sweets were smeared, King John said grimly, as I feared, nothing again for me. I did want crackers, and I did want candy. I know a box of chocolates would come in handy. I do love oranges, and I did want nuts. I haven't got a pocket knife, not one that cuts. And oh, if Father Christmas had loved me at all, he would have brought a big red India rubber ball. King John stood by the window and frowned to see below the happy bands of boys and girls all playing in the snow. And while he stood there watching and envying them all, when through the window, big and red, there hurtled by his royal head and bounced and fell upon the bed an India rubber ball. And oh, Father Christmas, my blessings on you fall for bringing him a big red India rubber ball. You know where the kids in our congregation are today. They're at home having a good time with whatever Santa Claus brought them. So today's chalice lighter is me. My pronouns are she and her. I'm 61 years old. And what am I excited about? I'm excited that my kids are coming for dinner tonight, so we'll all be together. Thank you. And now it is time for our, no, it's not, it's time for our affirmation. Oh, I was supposed to say that. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And now it's time for our affirmation, which I love that we share this together every week. That should be the next slide. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. And now, Stephanie is going to lead us, and Reverend Tracie also, in everybody, up we go, to sing Joy to the World. Lovely. Thank you. I didn't welcome people that may be watching from their homes. Welcome to you too. And I hope you've got, since we have a cookie buffet afterwards, I hope you have your cookies and something hot to drink. I brought Glühwein today. Yay. And now it is time for joys and concerns. This is the time we share the joys in our lives that, and when we share our sorrows, hope to lessen the weight of them by sharing them with people that care about us.
Well, my joy today is that my lemon tree gave me a whole lot of lemons, and there's a bag of them over here if anybody wants to take a lemon when they leave.
Hi, Chloe Hatfield. My joy is prefaced with a bit of concern. The past few years, I haven't really been in the Christmas spirit. It's not hit me as much as it did when I was younger, and that kind of happens. as you grow older. But it's because I usually spend my Christmases in Tennessee, but since my grandparents both had passed, we've not been able to have Christmas in Tennessee and see my family on my father's side. But last night, and I will say this, we never done anything religious for Christmas because I was brought up in an atheist household. So there was nothing necessarily religious or anything about Christ in our Christmas, but it was just a nice feeling of Christmas togetherness with my family. But last night, I came to the candlelight service, and it really touched my heart, and it was such a big joy for me to be a part of that, and it gave me Christmas spirit again. It was really nice.
Hi, everyone. There we go. Susan Messer-Evans. I'm getting over a cold, so if I sound a little stuffed up, that's why. My big joy is that I graduated with my bachelor's degree on about, was that 2 weeks ago? A week ago? Whatever, time isn't real. So I'm done with that, and I'm waiting. In February, I'll hear back about whether or not I got into the master's program, so fingers crossed on that. And my best friend was able to come down from Ohio and visit for a few days, and she was able to attend the ceremony, and that was great. And it's just, I had a lovely Christmas morning. I got lots of great gifts from my friends and my mom and my stepdad, and my friends are opening their gifts, and one of my friends is having her first Christmas with her new husband and his family, and one of my friends is working at Disney today at a water ride. Pray for them. Pray for them. But overall, it's been a good day, and I'm happy to be here with all of you. So thank you.
My concern is that don't get all on me, no sad faces. My concern is that I was diagnosed with lupus and probable ovarian cancer on the same day. And then they told me I have an aneurysm and they couldn't do the surgery I needed right then, so it's been postponed. So I'm having surgery in February, but that's the concern. But the joy is that I feel better than I have in years. In spite of all that, everything else has improved so much that I feel really good. And and I think they're wrong about the ovarian cancer. I just think they're wrong. So things are good, and it's nice to have a diagnosis. So that's all a plus. Also, it's a great Christmas, and we're having people over today, and I'm really excited about that. And it's the first time I felt like having Christmas in so many years I can't even count them. So yay for feeling like it. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Margaret. I've stopped by a few times. I am a UU, have been a UU, a Tri-County UU, I'll call it up north in the Summerfield. I'm happy to be here today with my husband and to celebrate the holiday with you. And that's a joy. So I look forward to seeing you again.
Let's take a moment of silence to recognize the joys and concerns. It's now time for all ages. I think Roberta and Lindsay are going to be doing this. I think, Roberta, you're on first.
Hi. This is more than just a story time for me. I was inspired to become a storyteller after I retired because of UUU. I was a member of UUU. The first story I ever told was on winter solstice, and it was a winter solstice story, and that's the same story I'm going to tell today. This story I found on the internet. It's called The Yule Fairies, a Winter Solstice Story. I changed it a little bit. Storytellers do that. And the characters in the end recite a poem, and that poem is original that I added to the story. So just give you that little introduction. Deep in the forest, beneath the roots of the oak tree, live a group of fairies. And their names are Tiger Lily, Meadowgrass, Violet, Rose, Daffodil, and Camellia. They were all snug and warm in their home because they'd lined it with dandelion fluff, moss, and feathers. But outside, the wind blew cold. On this particular day, Rose was talking to the other fairies. I was out today, and the Sun King, he looked so weak and tired. And Oak Tree told me that the Sun King was dying. Dying, said Meadowgrass. That's terrible. The birds and the bees and the butterflies have already flown away. What'll happen to our little plant friends? It'll be winter forever. Violet and Daffodil tried to comfort Meadowgrass, but they couldn't. They were all sad, and they sat around just huddled together, trying to imagine what it would be like to be winter now forever. All of a sudden, there was a knock on the door. Tiger Lily got up and answered it, and in, pushed his way, was a little gnome by the name of Brown Nobby. Hey, little fairies, what are you doing here? Why are you not at the winter solstice celebration? And he began to dance all around the room. Tiger Lily stamped her little foot and said, how can you be so happy when Oak Tree told us that the Sun King was dying? That's right, said Brown Nobby. The Sun King is dying. That is the secret of the winter solstice. Secret, said the fairies? We don't know any secrets. We're new fairies. Well, he says, then you'll have to come with me, get your coats and come with me. Hurry, hurry, don't be slow. Off to the sacred circle we go. He danced around the room one more time and disappeared into the forest. The fairies just looked at each other. They didn't know what to think. And Camellia said, we could go to the sacred circle where the ladies live. They're very wise. They will tell us the secret. So they put on their coats that they made out of rose petals, held together with cobwebs and lined with goose down, and put the little acorn shell caps on their head, and stepped out into the cold night air. The only light was the light of the moon, and they could see the almost bare branches of the trees silhouetted against it. And when they walked, they could feel the crunch of the dried leaves and twigs beneath their feet. Oh, by the way, in the original story, it was snow, but we live in Florida. They hadn't gone too far when they came across Foxy Fox. Hey, little fairies, where are you going? We are going to the sacred circle. Oh, that's still a long way off. Why don't you hop on my back and I'll take you there? Off they went to the sacred circle. After a while, the fairies could hear in the distance laughter and music, the most beautiful music they ever heard. And as it got louder and louder, and then all of a sudden the fox stopped, and there before him was a sacred circle with all kinds of people and forest creatures, and up on the altar was the maiden, the mother, and the wise old one. The fairies noticed that there was a crowd around the mother, and they were all looking at something that she was holding, but they couldn't see what it was. And so they walked up to the altar, and the maiden saw them, and she picked them up, and she held them up over the mother's shoulder so they could see what the mother was holding. A baby! And look at how it glows. Yes, said the mother. This is the newborn Sun King. Oh, said Camellia, how could that be the Sun King? Brown Nobby and the oak tree told us that the Sun King was dying. Yes, said the wise old one, the Sun King knows that on the longest, coldest, darkest night of the year, he must return to the circle where he dies. And I pick him up and I bring him to the mother, and she brings new life into him. That is the secret of the solstice. and there is a never-ending cycle of life. Oh, now the fairy smiled. Rose says, I shall have to show the Sun King the flowers when they bloom in the spring. And Violet says, and I shall have to teach him how to call the birds and listen for the music in the wind. And the mother said, when the Sun King is older and stronger, his breath will warm the air, and his touch will make the flowers bloom, and the birds and the bees and the butterflies will come back, and you can run and play with the Sun King all summer long, and it won't be winter again for a very long time. Well, now the fairies were happy, and they joined all the others for the whole night in songs and dances and games. And then it got very quiet. Everybody looked toward the east, and they recited the winter solstice poem. The Sun King is tired. The Sun King is old. He used to be so strong and bold, but he'll be reborn this very night and grow in strength in his own light. He'll warm the air. It will be spring. The flowers will bloom and the birds will sing. And then as he gets much stronger, the days of summer will get longer. But then as he weakens and the nights grow mellow, it's autumn, and the leaves on the trees turn green, red, and yellow. And this is his last gift to us each year, is the beautiful trees that we see so far and near. And as autumn passes and he grows meeker, he comes to the circle when he is weaker. And that's when we rejoice and celebrate, because we know it is his fate that as he dies, he again will rise. This we have no fear. Our Sun King is reborn to us every year. Well, then they saw just a little bit of light in the sky. And then they saw the sun come up. And everybody was so happy, and they cheered, and they laughed. And then it was time to say goodbye and go home. The fairies climbed on the fox's back, and he took them back to the oak tree, where they spent the rest of the winter dreaming about the coming of spring and the fun they would have with the new Sun King.
Thank you, Roberta. That was lovely. Am I on? Well, we look around. Some of us are older. Some have white hair. Some have no hair at all. But we can imagine for a minute, remember that all of us used to be little children. Those of you out there on the internet, look around at your family and remember, kind of look at each other and go, imagine what they looked like when they were little children. When I was a little girl, I had soft brown curls. Think of me about 4 years old. And my mother wrote stories for me. I loved it when she wrote me stories. Now, she wrote stories that were published and read by children all over the world, but this story she wrote just for me. Back then, my name was Linda, and the story is A Visit to Santa by Margaret Sutton. Linda was a happy girl. Christmas Day was near. Mommy took her to this store. Look, Santa Claus is here. Linda waited on the line to tell him what to bring. Soon she jumped on Santa's knee and she began to sing. I want a ball for Brother Bill, a book for Cousin Jane. Mommy wants some silverware and Tommy wants a train. Sister Susie wants a watch. Auntie wants a phone. Daddy wants a TV set and Scrappy wants a bone. Enough, enough, laughed Santa Claus. The others want a chance. So Mommy hurried Linda off without a backward glance. Linda soon began to think, what will my present be? I didn't say a single thing I wanted just for me. She loved old Santa very much and couldn't quite believe he'd leave her stocking empty there and forget her Christmas Eve. Christmas morning came at last with gifts for one and all. Mommy got her silverware and Billy got his ball. Tommy had his train set up and running round the track. The stockings were filled right to the top with toys from Santa's pack. Sue got her watch. Jane got her book. She called on Auntie's phone. Daddy got his TV set, and Scrappy got his bone. Linda hurried down the stairs. What would her present be? She laughed to see the packages around the Christmas tree. Linda's fingers fairly flew as she unwrapped each toy, a doll, a wagon for her blocks, and then, to her great joy, a lovely snow-white pussycat stretched forth its velvet paws. The card it wore said, "Linda, dear, from your friend Santa Claus." Linda had wanted most of all a kitten for a pet. It romped and played while Dad set up the television set. Then Santa's face came on the screen, and what he said is true. If you think of others, Santa Claus will surely think of you. Merry Christmas.
Those were beautiful. Thank you. It is time for interlude and offering. And remember that 40% of our Share the Plate of your donations go to Share the Plate, which is now the ACLU. And just to give the ACLU a plug, I'm sure you're all aware of all the good things they do. They've been around for about 100 years. Criminal law reform, disability rights, free speech, immigrants' rights, juvenile rights, LGBTQ justice, prisoners' rights, privacy and technology, racial justice, religious liberty, reproductive freedom, voting rights, and women's rights are some of the things that the ACLU helps Americans with. So give generously, and if you're at home, you can go online and donate from your computer or your phone. And we will be singing Deck the Halls. Now we're lucky enough to have Rev Tracie with us today on Christmas morning to give a talk on coming home. Taking my cookie and my drink with me.
Darn, I was hoping you were leaving that here. The conversation started last year at this time. Did you know Christmas is on a Sunday next year? Oh boy. The conversation started while many of the ministers in the group were halfway through their holiday offerings for 2021. What were people thinking about doing? To have service or not have service? That was the question. I just shrugged, realizing that I'd need to pare down the holiday services for 2022 since I planned on a candlelight Christmas Eve the night before Sunday service, this Sunday service. Now, there were conversations from some about not having service on Christmas Day because maybe people wouldn't come and then everybody could celebrate with their family. I kept moving forward because I couldn't imagine not having a service today. And you may notice that we're a little bit more casual today, and that's okay, because that was planned. I knew that many of our hard-working volunteers would be planning to be gone today. I told them we'd have it under control, and look, so far we have. But I also knew it was important for our doors to be open. Why? Because for many, our Unitarian Universalist congregations are where they find home. So that's why I wanted to be here today. You see, when I left the evangelical church in my mid-20s, I was convinced I was gone for good. I joke that I totally broke up with God. But every year, I would feel a pull to come back. It was pure nostalgia, and it hit during the biggest nostalgia time of the year, December. And suddenly, that's when I missed the magic of watching candlelight move through a sanctuary while singing Silent Night. That's when I missed the pageantry and the smells and bells of Christmas. That's when I missed the camaraderie that came about by being in a faith community. You'd think I'd go, find my way back, but I couldn't. It was too painful. I had been hurt too badly, and I didn't know then where I could go that wouldn't hurt me. Fast forward another 15 years, it was while I was in the pagan community that I discovered Unitarian Universalism. I attended a full moon circle on the grounds of our Tampa UU congregation, and it was there, while there, that I learned that there might just be a faith community for me. You see, I was shocked that they were having this ritual at a church until the leaders told me that they were members of that church. They filled me in a bit, and I did my own research. See, I was a UU and didn't know it. And I discovered that this might just be the place for me. It was still a few years before I walked through the doors of my home congregation. But when I did, the first words out of my mouth when I told a friend about it were, I came home. I know from sitting in on many new member classes over 3 congregations that those are the same words uttered by many who find their way to a UU congregation for the very first time. How many of you have said that at one time? Right? Yeah, okay. Whether you find your first time coming to a UU congregation or your first time coming here to this congregation. I know I said something similar during my conversations with the board about coming on as your minister, that this was a place full of love for each other, and I definitely wanted to be in on that. And I still stand by that statement. And that is what I hope every person who comes through our doors feels from us, that this is a place full of love and support and caring, that we are a place where people can find home, that we are a place where people can know that they won't be hurt by a theology that says that they're less than because of who they are. That, my friends, is why this service is happening today, to remind us that we are home for each other. We are the chosen family in this home, and we are committed to working things out with one another when things get messy. Not if, but when. That's not the only reason this service is happening, of course. It's also because someone may be out there who needs to know that home is here. Maybe they didn't come through our physical doors today. Maybe they did. Maybe they came through our virtual doors or might later. And if so, welcome. We are here when you need to come home. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so.
Thank you, Reverend Tracie. It is time to extinguish the chalice. And please recite with me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of unity. These closing words are from, but first we're going to sing. Oh, yeah. Come on up, girls, and everyone stand, please.
Wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We bring us a big pudding, oh, bring us a big pudding, oh, bring us a big pudding and a cup of good cheer. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I've always wondered what figgy pudding is. Michael, do you know? You're the Brit in the odd here.
It's a fruit steamed pudding.
Mm-hmm. With figs.
And plums.
And brandy. And brandy, and do they light it on fire? Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Brandy sauce over it too.
Oh, yeah.
And set it on fire.
Okay, could you bring one next week? Closing words from Unknown, which is sad because I like them so much. I wish I do know who had written this. Come all you weary wanderers beneath the wintry sky. This day forget your worldly cares and lay your sorrows by. Awake and sing, the church bells ring, for this is Christmas morning. With grateful hearts salute the morn and swell the streams of song that laden with great joy are borne, the willing air along. The tidings thrill. I got my pages mixed up. With right goodwill, for this is Christmas morning. We'll twine the fresh green holly wreath and make the Yule log glow, and gather gaily underneath the twinkling mistletoe, all blithe and bright by the glad firelight, for this is Christmas morning. Come sing the carols old and true that mind us of good cheer, and like a heavenly fall of dew, revive the drooping year, and fill us up a wassail cup, for this is Christmas morning. Thank you for coming. Let's go have some cookies and a hot drink. And those of you at home, I hope you have some too. And Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas.